What's up, and welcome to 5280 Film Room.
We're a Colorado sports podcast by fans for fans.
Please subscribe, rate, and review, and also follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
You can also email us your input, questions, and ideas at 5280filmroom@gmail.com.
Thanks for listening. What's up, Colorado sports fans? Thanks so much for listening. I'm Alyssa.
I'm Gideon.
I'm Miles.
And I'm Jordan.
And the Denver Nuggets are in the same place in the standings as they were last week when we podcasted. Second, right behind the Golden State Warriors. And Miles, Gid, Jordan, what specifically should fans be kind of paying close attention to over these next 21 games?
That's a great question.
I mean, I would say the cohesion of our starting lineup, because this is the first time that we've really had, on a game-to-game basis, them all back together.
Healthy.
Everybody's back.
How have they looked being back together?
We went,
like
2-1?
The Nuggets?
2-1 with them back this past week?
They're all coached to play their roles and they don't look any different.
So what
Stay
happened
healthy.
against the Jazz? Like, what fell apart that led to that loss?
Just not making shots.
Okay.
I think we shot
Poor defense.
34% from the field in the second quarter and only scored 15 points.
Oof.
But we won every other quarter, which is upsetting.
Lost by 7.
Yep.
I mean, so really, they should have won it.
If we had a halfway
Shoulda,
decent
coulda,
second
woulda.
quarter, then yeah.
At home,
Yeah.
Well, how many points did
At
the
this
Jazz
point
score
in
in
the
the second
season?
quarter?
I would say
High
like
20s.
Yeah,
Okay.
25 or 27.
So that would have been the difference.
But we had a nice comeback in the fourth quarter. Will Barton played a lot of really good individual defense and had some
Individual
good
game.
scoring. Yeah, had good scoring opportunities that he was successful in. But he seemed to be the only player that was playing smart. Jokic had a lot of dumb fouls. A lot of it,
Okay.
the crowd was thinking a lot of it goes on the refs, but I don't ever really like blaming the refs. Were there bad calls? Yes, absolutely.
The refs
But
suck.
that doesn't take away from the fact that the Nuggets were in a position to come back and win the game, and they didn't do that. So
Just
you
general
can't blame the
sloppiness.
refs for a loss. You can blame the refs for having shitty calls and putting us in poor positioning, but the control was still ultimately in our hands. We missed free throws, missed some wide open 3-pointers. Monty Morris was short on all of his shots. It was just not a good game, and the Jazz were coming off of a game Thursday night, and the Nuggets looked like the team that was on a back-to-back and not the Jazz.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, when Jokic doesn't play for the majority of the second half, that's a problem. But he had his 5th foul.
Early
I
in
want
the
to
third,
say,
right?
yeah, early in the third.
Wow.
And so he got yanked right away, and then they didn't put him back in until like 7 or 8 minutes left in the fourth.
Wow.
So
I think the Nuggets would have won if he was in there for most of the third. And
likely, like
Yeah.
Mike Malone said before the game, like anytime there's a situation where we need to win the game, it's gonna go into Jokic's hands. And so far this season, the majority of those times that we're in that position and it's gone to Jokic, he's converted those clutch moments and allowed us to win.
what's great about him is, like, it's not just him shooting the ball. Put the ball in his hands, he
Oh, yeah.
might find the right person to pass
Absolutely.
Right.
He had a lot of stupid turnovers with passing, and you can't blame the refs for that one. It was just poor team basketball, and Barton was the only bright spot in the game.
Tomorrow the Nuggets play the Pelicans at home. The Pelicans are ranked 13th in the West. So on paper it should be an easy win. Do you guys anticipate that happening, especially after their poor performance against the Jazz? Do you think they'll show up ready to dominate?
I don't know if I would classify it as an easy win because the Pelicans have actually been on a decent, I don't know if I would call it a win streak, but their last probably 6 or 8 games, they've played pretty good teams and they've beat them.
When Anthony Davis is a wild card.
And he's on a minutes restriction.
Is he?
Yeah, so they want to keep him as healthy as they can so they can trade him in the offseason.
Oh.
But they already got a warning that if they don't play him, they'll be fined $100,000 each game that he misses.
You get 10 minutes.
That's yeah. I think they cap him at 20 right now.
I mean, people go to Pelicans games to see Anthony Davis, so I can see that.
But yeah, after you tell your team that you're not coming back, you don't want to play for this team anymore, trade me.
Yeah.
Then that starts to create some friction.
That's going to have some
on
repercussions.
the inside. But, Drew Holiday's still a really good player, and he's stepped up on operating that offense and taking more shots, and he's making them, and they've won a few games against good teams. So I don't think we should think of it as a easy win. I think we need to.
It's no Phoenix.
We need to make adjustments and make sure that whatever happened Thursday night doesn't get replicated again on Saturday night. And Mike Malone's a great coach. He's really good at making adjustments on the fly. But I think especially when the Nuggets run their zone defense, we are very susceptible to giving up a lot of three-pointers. And if we can't answer back on our own with wide open threes and making those shots, then we're not going to be in a position to win, because this day and age there's a lot of teams that have multiple three-point specialists because everyone wants to be prepared to play against the Warriors. And when you have to guard 3 players that are all basically proficient from anywhere on the offensive side of the court.
Yeah.
Like ahead of half
Can't
court,
double
like
team all of them.
Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Kevin Durant, all 3 of those players can make, 35-footers.
No problem.
Yeah. Well, they make it look like it's no problem.
For them, it's no problem. Yeah.
So.
And the Nuggets are only a half game behind them, too,
So
which is impressive.
We want first place. I know in the last podcast I was saying, I think I might have misworded myself saying that I wanted the Nuggets to get the 3rd spot, but for me it's more of a tempered expectation as far as like we'll probably fall to the 3rd spot, and that's me, making sure that I'm not disappointed.
Right, exactly. You have to
your expectations.
Yeah, you have to manage your own expectations.
If we don't get 1st seed, I feel like we're going to be 3rd seed.
Okay.
Like the Thunder are going to start playing a lot better, and that was a great win for us on Tuesday night.
Especially with Paul George pushing.
And Paul George was playing hard, and
Yep.
they were each coming off of like 40-point games, Westbrook and Paul George, and we limited them both to like under 25, I believe.
Well, it helps when they go to a double OT.
So, yeah.
But, yeah.
We didn't let them put up, 120 points. So, it was good. Our defense is good. We held the Jazz to, 111, I guess. It got a little out of hand with all the free throws at the end of last night. But, no, against the Pelicans, I think they should handle business, but, still treat them like a professional basketball team and don't expect anything to be easy.
No. There's still a lot of season left. There's 20 games, you said, Gideon? About?
21.
Yeah,
20,
depends
21.
on the team,
21.
depends on the schedule. Nuggets have 21.
And how do you guys feel? So you said the entire roster is healthy, right? I mean, besides MPJ.
Trey Lyles.
Okay.
Yeah, Trey
He's
Lyles.
got hamstring or something.
Stinger type.
And
But he should be back pretty soon. Hopefully.
To be honest,
I think he's been day-to-day for like a week.
for me, I'd be
Okay.
totally okay with him not coming back.
Okay.
Why is that?
He's just so hit and miss. Some games he will have that game where he just plays like he should be all year. And then the majority of it, I watch him play sometimes. It's like, why did you do that?
Just poor decision making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's consistent.
Well, I just wonder, like, hopefully this doesn't happen, like, if the Nuggets go on a bit of a skid, they lose 2 or 3 in a row.
We're still inside.
With, like, everybody, but, like, with everybody healthy in the locker room, and I'm sure there's a lot of personalities in there, how is that going to affect the team? When we didn't have, Barton and IT.
Well, they were still in the locker room, though.
Yeah.
And so their voices were still there. They still.
It's different when you're playing, though.
But I don't think there's any egos to worry about as far as it's your fault or it's not my fault. Like, we don't have any Kyrie Irvings that we have to deal with. I feel like.
And I don't know what IT was
chemistry,
like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
He very well could have that negative aspect in the locker room, but now, there's been a lot of players that have said he's been nothing but a benefit in the locker room.
That's good.
I think the chemistry as a whole, they're not going to let even a 4 or 5 game losing streak affect how they're treating one another and whether or not that's going to be evident on the basketball court. For as young as our team is, it sounds like they're all holding themselves very professionally.
Right.
And they want to encourage each other and make sure that they're winning as a team and losing as a team and making sure that they're making the right adjustments and decisions to make sure that we don't go on a 4 or 5 game losing streak.
I think you would attribute a lot of that to Coach Malone setting this standard of this is how we operate as a team, this is how we behave as a team, how we treat each other as a team, how we adjust, move forward. I don't think he allows a lot of room for over-emotional reactions or for that diva behavior. Like, I just don't think
he's told the team that
it's
that
just
is
not
his
a
responsibility.
Factor. Yeah.
Like, if anyone's going to get a technical, it's me. If anyone's getting ejected, it's me.
I love that.
That happened last week.
I absolutely love that.
But in my opinion, hands down, Mike Malone's coach of the year right now.
Nice.
I think
it'd be hard to argue that.
In the league, I think there's probably 2 other coaches that could really
are up there.
Push them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Who would be those 2?
The Bucks and I don't know.
Maybe Toronto. But Toronto was up there really good last year as well. But
I just feel like
Bucks and the Nuggets have made the largest
swing, so to speak.
Yeah, from what they did the previous
year over year.
Right.
And
improvement.
When there's not a lot of personnel changes, you look to coaching.
Mm-hmm.
If you rewind back to 2014 when Steve Kerr got brought in for the Warriors team was pretty much the same. They added Andre Iguodala and Zaza Pachulia, but then they won the championship that year.
Right.
So that goes to coaching, and then they extended Steve Kerr, and then Steve Kerr was the head coach of the Olympic team in 2016. So I think it just kind of shows when you look at who wins Coach of the Year in the past, Mike Malone is definitely 1 or 2 as far as finalists on who's going to be considered.
Just seems like he has such a unique handle on his leadership position. It's effortless for him. It's just innate ability to get the best out of your players, but also have a really comfortable, humorous relationship with them.
Right.
I loved how after the All-Star game, when he was coaching against the Joker, he made a comment in the press conference about how he was happy to send Nikola with the L or whatever. What was that comment he made back?
Take that L on the way out.
Yeah, take that L on the way out. Let all the visitor fans come to Pepsi Center. That's fine as long as they take the L on the way out. And he made that joke to Jokic.
And he balls
and
out
you know,
too.
they just all have such a genuine camaraderie with each other, and you can't manufacture that. You can't put that on as a face to the media. It's either genuine or it isn't. And I feel like that's
a young
what
team
can
that's
take them to
impressive.
the next level.
It's not like they've been together for 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah,
Like, it's a lot
It's
of
all
young
been,
players.
like 2 to 3.
Exactly.
For the longest
relating
tenure.
to.
Yeah, and the front office with Tim Connolly, they've just done a phenomenal job putting all the pieces together.
Right.
And Connolly was just extended, right, kid?
The whole front office.
The whole front office.
Smart.
Yeah,
Heck
Good
yeah.
job,
Mm-hmm.
Kroenke.
with how young of a team we've got.
And
Pretty
it's
solid.
having people in your front office who can see the diamonds in the rough. Like
We
a lot
brought
of
in
these.
Suber.
Yeah, a lot of these players weren't the super shiny. Oh, that's the guy you got to have. And they just saw exactly what they need. Like that's the
What's the
ingredient
team
we
needs.
need, and we're going after that guy, no matter what any other teams think or
He
rate
may not be
them
the best
as.
shooter, but his
But
personality
we don't
is
need
what
that. We
yeah.
need this particular X factor from him,
Yep.
and this one from him, and this one from him.
I
It's
guess
like casting a show. Oh, I'm a theater teacher, so for me, that's what I relate to. It's like you see a really great cast in a show or a movie, and you're like, that casting director, like, kicked ass. They did a perfect job finding the artist to create this story. And I feel like the front office has just done a hell of a job casting a winning, dominant basketball team.
It's definitely great in the long run. We're obviously doing well in the regular season, but I think when we do have games like we did against the Jazz, it makes it a little more difficult for us to pull out of those 10-0, 15-0 runs because we don't have that player that's like, hey, it's my ball, I'm gonna score.
Sometimes that mentality helps.
Like Barton sort of like tried pulling that out in the fourth quarter. Like, hey, I'm stealing this ball. I'm keeping it. I'm getting an and one layup on the other side right now.
Yep.
So we have players that are capable of it, but at times we are definitely too unselfish.
Right.
And
Well, I'd say
Jamal Murray had one where he pump faked, got the defender in the air. He should have attempted the 3-point. He would have drawn the foul, and he ended up just kicking the ball out to the wing, and then he fell down, and then we lost the possession on a poor shot.
Well, I
When
think
he could have had 3 easy free throws.
I think as a coach,
Yeah.
you've got to read those moments and know when to say, you are unleashed. You go rogue.
See, I don't
You
think
go do what you got to do.
I don't think it's the coach's decision at that point, though.
Really?
Like, sometimes when you feel, how games are transitioning with momentum and things like that, like sometimes
down to
a
the
team
players.
needs a player to step up and.
But
Isn't
is it
it
on
a
the
lot of,
coach
like-
to say, you go rogue, you
But
go
they
carry
might not be
this
shooting
team?
well, or they might have tweaked.
Or is
their
it the
ankle that they
fellow
don't wanna,
players
like-
saying, we need you to carry us? You're
Wouldn't-
having the
wouldn't
hot
it be
hand,
like a
go
lot of
carry us.
how you practice? Like if you practice
Practice?
unselfish. Yeah.
We talk about
practice?
Practice.
It was a great week of practice.
I mean, those are
All
the
right,
moments. What I'm saying, like the way our team is built is fantastic. I love it. I wouldn't want to change it, but you can't necessarily practice for a whole crowd screaming at you, refs giving you 4 straight bad calls.
Right.
Like, just that's frustrating. Like, you can't simulate frustration in practice. I mean, you can try to attempt to create some
Scenarios,
stress,
but
it's never going to match the same environment that you're
That's
in.
true. Kind of just follow your
Especially
instincts
trying
at
to
that
fight
point.
back from being down like 17 points.
yeah.
Mm.
Like, it's not easy.
There's certain things you can only learn from facing them in actual game time.
Yeah,
And hopefully, I mean, the
games
Nuggets
like last
seem...
night that you will grow from. Those
Right.
are the practices.
right.
So hopefully we can get better from that situation so that we're prepared for the postseason. Because as we get closer and closer to the end of the season, each game is going to be more and more important.
Mm-hmm.
And the teams that we play against are going to be playing harder and harder and harder.
Yeah.
Everyone wants a good spot in the playoff seeding, and the entire Western Conference is pretty close from 1 seed all the way down to 8 seed.
And
There's
if
always
anyone-
going to be a battle between 2 or 3 teams.
Yeah.
If anyone can lead the Nuggets to learn from losses like that, I feel like it is Coach Malone.
Absolutely.
He can sit
Yep.
them down and go, this is what we got to take away from this, and then we got to forget about it. We don't have time to think about it anymore. Let's apply these lessons to what we're going to see on Saturday.
And the poopy teams like Phoenix they're going to be like, we want to mess up your playoff
Oh,
seeding.
yeah.
So we're gonna
Now
figure
we've
it
got
out,
a
right?
target on us.
Like,
That's new.
There's all sorts of different aspects
Yep.
to the winding down of the regular season, but I'm excited to see how we close out, and I think if we can win, I'd say 12 to 15 of these last 21, we will be most likely first or second.
While the Nuggets are sitting pretty comfortably in their standings, the Avalanche are clawing tooth and nail to get a wild card spot. They had one for like 26 hours.
Just over a day.
Just a smidge.
Were we still like, 1 or 2 points out?
Yeah, so close. If you'll pull those up, Jor. But
Yeah.
last podcast we talked about how the Avalanche absolutely needed to show up against the Predators. I know I was a little leery of that becoming a reality.
Called it.
I was shocked and excited and pumped that they kicked their butts 5-0 in Nashville. That was an incredibly satisfying win, and I was like, this momentum, like they're gonna run with this, they're unstoppable, and then they lost
for Brassard,
to the Panthers in overtime.
I feel like that win led to the trade.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was something that they were already contemplating or whatever, but it felt like, they had Florida in the state, same practice building or whatever. It was like, you guys want to make a move? Like,
We like that guy over there.
We'll give up a second round.
Can you come over to this side?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's all get together. You pick the players you want. I'll pick the players I want.
Recess
swap.
style.
So I feel like that win definitely made the front office kind of reevaluate, like, how serious should we be now?
Well, Grubauer was on fire because we talked about how Varley was killing it for the last like 3 or 4 games, and we said that Varley's probably going to play the Predators.
Killer games.
Then it was Grubauer, and he gave up no goals. Like, he was on fire. Like, I was pumped after that. I was like, we have 2 elite goalies now.
It's like 36 saves.
Mid-30s.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like he was on fire. Has he played since then?
I don't know, to be totally honest.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Do you know who played against Panthers? Which was a great game. Came down to overtime.
That was Varley.
And of course, it was within like 30 seconds of overtime.
So is that our 12th overtime loss?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were 1-12 at that point. Now we're 2-12.
Because against the
last
Canucks, we won in a shootout. And for me, that means we
Baby
made
steps.
it all the way through an overtime without letting the other team score. That is a victory. I will be thrilled with that. But I mean, it's clear that it is all a head game. Like, they are so completely screwed mentally about overtime. And McKinnon said we were terrified. We were terrified against the Canucks. We were like, we saw overtime coming, and you could feel it on the bench. We were all just dreading it. And maybe it finally got to a boiling point and they were all dreading it so much they went out and played a little bit cleaner and harder, and that's why they made it through overtime, and it did go to a shootout and they were able to win that.
Yeah, I mean,
they just need to break the funk. Like, it is such a bugaboo right now, and they gotta fix it.
If they can get to a shootout, they should win every shootout.
Yeah.
Because
Oh, yeah.
their first 3 shooters are going to be McKinnon, Landeskog, and Rantanen.
Yep.
It's like at least 2 of those 3 guys are going to score.
And they play the Sharks tonight in about an hour Mountain Time. So by the time this podcast is posted tomorrow, they'll have either won or lost against the Sharks. Hopefully won.
Sharks are towards the top of the Western
Yeah,
Conference.
it's going to be a tough game.
And they're going all in this year, the Sharks.
We'll see.
They're going for blood.
But the Predators, I mean, if they can put the Predators away 5-0 in their house,
beat anyone.
they can put the Sharks away in their house.
I hope so. They got to keep it going. I mean, they've been better since the break.
For sure.
Before the break, it was a complete disaster. I feel like they're
They've
playing
made some
more
corrections.
as a team. Mhm.
Yeah.
My bold
Adjusted.
prediction: we beat the Sharks and
Bold
lose
prediction.
to the Ducks.
Oh. Oh no!
Gideon, take it back.
I mean, the Ducks are trash, but they have a really good goalie, so he could throw a shutout.
Yeah.
And the Ducks could win 1-0.
That's the thing. Is like
Yeah.
you can have a garbage team, but if you've got a good goalie, You can win every game.
Yeah.
They have not by any stretch of the imagination, but
Like the Avs will probably lose 1-0 in overtime in that game.
In overtime. No,
You can't
I
lose
hope
1-0.
they squeeze
Oh,
out
yes,
both
you
of these
can.
wins because definitely they're in the same position as the Nuggets, like about 20 games left, right? Or is it less? Is it
It's
less?
They got
less than
18.
that.
Yeah.
Because they start like 2 weeks before the NBA season. I
Okay.
think.
and they really are just right there in terms of wild card placement.
Well, we're tied with the Wild.
They
just have the
they have the
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker. Yeah, they
Points
have the tiebreaker.
wise, we're tied.
Yep.
Yeah.
When I was just glad to see him be buyers at the trade deadline. Like, it wasn't a huge trade,
But it was
them
something.
making a statement. Like, we're getting a third-line center that can help
Right.
our team right
Makes
now.
us better.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right now.
And it's just
Exactly.
it's so tight for the wild card. The Dallas Stars have 69 points, the Wild have 68, Avs have 68, so like Miles said, like we're tied. It's just that tiebreaker. But then Arizona's right there with 67. Next is the Blackhawks with 63, so you've got a little bit of a cushion.
It's not quite like last week when there's, 7 or 8
7.
teams?
Yes, that's true. There's some separation now.
Yeah.
But as Avs fans, we just need to be paying close attention to the Stars and Minnesota Wild and Arizona to hope for a lot of losses.
I just hate the Wild. They're
I
always just
hate
a
the
little
Wild.
bit better than us.
Well,
Like,
they-
they're not a great team, but they're always a little
And
bit better.
my whole family's from Minnesota, and I like the Vikings. And I hate the Wild.
I know.
I hate, and my family that are like nice Vikings fans, the same people that are like cordial, like reasonable football fans, are viciously like intense, mean, crap talking hockey fans. And I'm like, Aunt Pam, what is this? What is going on? And it's not usually to me, it's to my cousins, but.
Well, the Wild, they're like the a-hole older brother. Like, they're not tough enough to beat up anybody else, but they just beat up on us.
beat up on the ass.
Yeah. They're just always a little bit better than we are.
Barely, too. It's
Yeah.
just by like, they're like one step ahead of us. So if
Right.
we can
For now.
push them out of the wild
Yeah.
card, that would be very satisfying.
Yes.
Well, we play them on the 19th, so I mean, just looking at the schedule,
It's coming up.
it might just go back and forth, and then that's going to be the real game where it's like, who gets the leg
Who's
up?
taking it?
Yeah.
Yeah, who's taking it? I feel like you're completely right. And it's just going to be back and forth, kind of
Or
staying where
maybe
they are
we
until
win
then.
5 straight, they lose 5 straight, and then
Well,
we
that
can
would
lose
be
to them and still be up. I don't know.
amazing.
I'm just
I
like,
know.
They need, the
anything
Avs
can
do need to
happen.
go on a hot streak. Not squeezing things out in overtime with a shootout. They need to be dominant. They need to,
couple
go on a
3-1,
tear.
4-1 wins.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Shutout
5-0
here and there.
again would be great.
Right?
That was a great
On
game.
a winning
I
streak.
really enjoyed that.
Yeah, because after 2 months of the season, I was thinking, wow, could the Avs actually win the division? And now I'm like, please just get 8 seed.
Just try.
That's all I want.
Do what you can.
Because you never know. And what was like 5 or 6 years ago, the Kings had the 8 seed and they won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
It's rare, but it can
It
happen.
happens. It
Yeah.
happens. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
While the Nuggets and the Avs are both in this critical, crucial time of the season, the Rockies are getting things started with spring training. They've played 7 games in a row
In 7 days.
in 7 days. I don't quite understand how baseball players play so much baseball.
They're definitely
100
athletes.
And 62 games in the regular season and what feels like 500 for spring training.
I mean, you don't run a whole lot in baseball. You have to be
That's-
athletic. But
that's true.
There's not a lot of running.
That's true.
Yeah.
And obviously in spring training, it's about working out the kinks. You're not too worried about the wins and the losses. Players are
Getting
only
warmed
playing,
up.
yeah,
Well,
limited.
most players
innings.
only
Season
play like
prospects.
2 or 3 innings.
Right, exactly.
Like, I was excited to see John Gray's first spring training start, and he pitched 2 innings. It's like, dang it.
Woohoo!
I want to see him get back up and recover from last year. But it's
I
spring
don't
training.
need to see that in spring training. I need to see that in April. But
I think he should be fighting for a starting job.
I think
should
he
be proving
is.
it
I
in
mean,
spring
especially
training.
in interviews, and I mean, he's aware that he has so much to prove, and if he doesn't do it quickly, he doesn't have a starting place. You know, he knows where he stands right now, and I believe it's going to be enough to propel him forward to what he's supposed to be. what he's touted as being, what he's been labeled as for the past few seasons.
He was supposed to be the next great Rockies pitcher, the greatest Rockies pitcher of all time.
And then Freeland and Marquez showed up, and he was like, "I'm not as good as them."
Well, what's funny is Marquez. He was, which trade was that? I don't remember, but it was a trade with the Tampa Bay Rays, and Marquez was the throw-in.
Yeah.
There were two main players, and the Rockies were like, we need one more piece, and so he was just the throw-in. He's turned out to be amazing. I think he's
one of my absolute favorite pitchers to watch.
Yeah, he's amazing. He's got all the talent in the world. Freeland, he's more of a contact pitcher, so he's not going to strike people out. But he just hits the corners so well. He paints the corners, as they say. Marquez, he just throws the ball right by you. He'll throw 97-mile-an-hour fastball with movement. So it's he has the talent. Freeland, I'm worried about maybe taking a step back this year.
Really?
Because he pitches to contact. He pitches for the ground ball.
Yeah.
Get a strikeout every once in a while.
He's just so confident at altitude.
Oh, yeah. He's
more
amazing.
than, you can't be that confident at altitude unless you've pitched at altitude literally your entire life.
Right.
And I think this is a testament as to why we absolutely need to pay more attention to our local high school, college pitchers, guys that they don't know any different.
I don't think we have any college. Well, I guess Metro's got a college team. But
Yeah.
I don't think CU has one. I don't think CSU has a baseball
Not
team.
at all?
I don't think so.
I think UNC does.
Yes.
Yeah.
UNC definitely does.
Mm-hmm.
The Bears.
The Bears.
But I don't know. I just feel like baseball's definitely.
I feel like it's like Mesa.
ignored
There's
in
smaller
Colorado,
schools.
for
There's
sure.
smaller schools that have competitive baseball teams on their level.
Yeah.
I mean, it is Colorado. It's all about the Broncos here. I feel like
Yeah.
it's all about football, no matter what
But
level.
as it has been, but the Broncos are obviously not doing so hot. I mean, the focus is shifting to other sports.
I'm gonna use that as not necessarily a segue, but Alyssa, you were extremely excited for some Philip Lindsay.
Yeah.
And Anderson's not a rookie. We got to see him slowly do better last year, but that's who I'm really excited to see as far as the pitching goes. I feel like he's going to make a significant advancement in his confidence, and I think his ERA is going to drop, and he's going to be making that push for 16, 17 starts.
I think, I think he's going to be one of
At
the
least,
5
hopefully.
rotational starters. That's my bold prediction.
Oh, yeah.
He will,
for sure.
He will, and move his way up in terms of how much they rely on his arm specifically.
If he can stay healthy. He was injury prone for the first 3/4 of the season last year.
Mm-hmm.
The last quarter, he finished strong.
He
when
got
was
it all
fully
out of
healthy.
his system. And now he'll be healthy. It's like a really bad cold that lasts 7 months.
Lingers.
Well, since you brought up Philip Lindsay, I mean, I think Kyle Freeland had the greatest pitching season in Rockies history. The best season that Denver has seen. And Philip Lindsay won Colorado Sports Athlete of the Year. He was great. But it's what Kyle Freeland did.
But so for
The
Philip
Rockies will always be
Lindsay,
in the shadow.
a lot of it was the story too.
What about
Philip's
Freeland's
story.
story? Freeland's story.
He wasn't undrafted. He was not invited to the combine because that
The
stuff doesn't
Nuggets
exist
do
in
give
baseball.
him love. He
Yes.
does shout outs and stuff when you go to the Pepsi Center games.
Well, and Freeland and Philip Lindsay have a great little Instagram relationship. They're constantly swapping gear and wearing each other's gear to practices and press ops. They're the hometown kids.
Right? It's just
So
weird to have.
at least they support each other, and props to Philip Lindsay for being like, hey, you guys need to watch the Rockies.
Yes. Yes.
It's not football season. It's starting.
Right.
Pay attention to the
baseball
Rockies.
season.
I do love Philip, but I just thought that was ridiculous.
That's fair. That's a fair analysis.
I mean, it is Broncos country. Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, Tyler Anderson, I think he'll for sure be in the starting lineup opening day.
Do you think he'll have a better season this year than last year, though? I think it's going to be like significantly better.
I hope so.
That's what I feel like
If he
he's
can
going to
stay
take
healthy.
a
If he can stay
lot.
healthy.
Yeah.
I feel like he's going to take a lot of limelight.
He's
John Gray might slip into the shadows even more than he already has.
Good. There
I
always
think
needs to be
I
competition.
think Gray's going to take a step forward too.
And we need
I
that.
hope so. That'd be awesome. It
And
just
then-
seems irrational to go, everyone will take a step forward and we'll be the most glorious team in all the world and we'll win the World Series.
I think there was something going on last year that we don't know about because he lost 30 pounds. It's like, I don't know if it was
Maybe
a
he
health
got a
issue
stint.
or a stress issue or
That's
what,
true.
but I think there was something going on. You just don't lose 30 pounds during the season as an athlete.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. There
Got dropped
probably
down
was some
to
sort of
the minors.
exterior.
Mhm.
That was like surprising.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I'm excited for baseball. I'm excited we extended Bud Black's contract 3 more years. I think he is awesome.
Nolan
He has
got-
turned
he
this team
deserves
around.
it.
Nolan got all the money. How
But
much
I think,
was it?
I think a lot of this is
300 over...
268 over 8.
Or, yeah, that's right.
Or 265 over 8.
Yeah.
I have
Something
such
like
a difficult time remembering the exact numbers because my brain can't compute that quantity of money. So I had a friend at work be like, Nolan's deal. And I was like, yeah, for all the money. He's like, you can't tell me how much it was. I'm like, no, it was for all the money.
It was a lot.
I can't process that.
I'm just glad it wasn't over 10 years. Those 10-year contracts, those
That
are
just
brutal.
seems really silly.
It definitely locks the team down into not a good position. Like, it's too
Right.
suppressive.
Exactly.
Well, and isn't there, it's like a player option after, what,
3 years.
So,
Which I think is smart on both sides.
Absolutely.
I
because,
completely agree.
like, I think our World Series window is about 3 years right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So
if
after-
Nolan wants to go somewhere
Yeah.
else to try and get a ring for his career, then, you know.
I mean, and he
Yeah.
said point blank, he does not want to be the next Todd Helton.
Yeah.
He does not just want to hang out here and not
He wants to win.
make it and not go to the big game. I
But
got in
then
an
after he
argument
signed
with
his
someone at
contract,
work
he
about
said-
this that was really upset and like offended by the 3-year opt out. That it made Nolan seem, I don't know, like a diva or like an asshole. And I was like,
Probably
no,
the
that's
team
just
wanting
like
to, give him some peace of
logical.
mind.
Right, and I'm sure his agent's also going, all right, I will support you staying in Colorado, but I want a contingency plan. This is what I would recommend that we do. And it's smart for both sides, and it's not a dig at the fans or the organization.
One, let's say the Rockies don't do so well for the next 3 years. Arenado's like, I want to play for a winning team. The Rockies are like, all right, we don't want to have to pay for
We
your
don't wanna pay
contract. We're rebuilding right now. And we could try to trade you, but maybe other teams don't want to pay for your contract. So
Yeah.
we're not going to get much from you.
And I also kind of like that it's like a deadline.
Yeah.
Like, all right, everyone, kick ass, take names, 3 years, show us what we can do.
Yeah,
What can we make happen in 3 years?
Because in the next couple of years, we're going to have to pay Trevor Story, Kyle Freeland, Herman Marquez. What are those contracts going to look like?
Yep.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah. So I think it's a smart move. We don't. And the 10-year deals, like I said, I just think they're so ridiculous. Like
About
Bryce Harper,
13-year deals.
he's gonna be 40 at the end of that. Is he still gonna be worth $25 million at that point?
In his
Maybe.
brain,
Not gonna matter.
in his
He's
brain
gonna
and in
get
his
paid.
wallet,
Yeah.
it's happening.
Right?
Yeah, that was stupid on the Phillies' part. But
Yeah.
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 With losing DJ LeMahieu at second, I don't know if there's going to be a hole there or not on the defensive side, but do you guys think it's possible that we can have another 90-win season?
I mean, I think Hampson looked really good last season. I feel confident in his ability to grow into the role. You can't just step in and play at the level of DJ. And I'm more worried about DJ's lack of presence in the locker, not the locker room. What is it in baseball?
The dugout.
dugout.
No,
Yeah.
what is it?
They
There's
have-
another word.
They have a locker room
And a dugout.
and a dugout. It's
Yeah.
not the bullpen. That's the
What
pitcher.
am I
the pitchers.
thinking of? I haven't.
Pizza
The
parties?
clubhouse. The clubhouse.
Oh,
the
oh,
clubhouse.
there you go.
I'm like, there's a word for it. He was just such a consistent, strong presence from everything that I've heard. That
Mm.
who's gonna take that role, that leadership role of like sure and steady.
I think it's got to be Nolan. that with all that money,
got
But
money
Nolan
down.
some
is
other
not.
expectations.
But Nolan, what makes Nolan great is he's not the sure and steady. He is fiery and volatile and emotional. He's so emotional. Who's gonna be the like? Yeah, guys, no, it's gonna be fine. We're gonna go. We're gonna.
That's part of growing
swing
up.
some bats.
You know, I think Nolan's bat needs to be consistent.
Yeah.
We can't just let him be hot and
Yeah.
then cold.
No,
and then,
you're right.
Hey, guess what? We actually need a homer right now, and you're up to bat. We need you.
And that's where
Now.
DJ could just, without seeming to bat an eye, just go, okay.
He's like,
Here
I
we
won't
go.
give you a homer, but I'll give you a double.
Yeah.
Getting on
Yes.
base.
Well,
But he
and then
would
Nolan
set,
would
he
follow
would-
that up
yes,
with the homer.
He
Like,
would set it up so
Right,
well.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
So well.
I just remember the Father's Day game. Do you guys
Oh,
remember
gosh.
that?
Those pictures are some of the most iconic in all of sports.
Yeah.
Where he got hit in the head during the celebration and the blood's running down his face and his baby blue jersey and he's just like screaming with like all of the excitement and passion in the world. It's an epic photograph.
It was.
That's Nolan. Like he's so emotional in the best possible way.
Oh, yeah. Like, if you guys haven't seen that highlight, just look up Nolan
The
Arenado
whole-
Father's Day game.
It'll make
'Cause
you
we
cry.
were down
if you
by
have a
2
soul.
in the 9th inning, and I think there was one out, and Charlie Blackmon gets a single, DJ gets a single, Nolan's up, and he had already gotten a single, double, triple in the game, so we needed a home run to get the cycle, and first pitch just knocks it out of the park. And by the time he rounded the bases, like the players, the entire team was just like all over him.
Like,
And he
not
comes
only was it
out of the
cycle.
scrum just bloody, just because
He got like knocked in the head with
Right.
a helmet, and there's just blood dripping down his face, and he's like in like this war scream face.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That was one of the greatest moments of his career, for sure. That was awesome.
We
But
need
yeah,
that
I agree.
again.
I do think that like it's his turn to step up and be the leader. It was Cargo. I don't think Cargo's signed yet, but I mean Nolan's making the money, so he needs to step up.
Yeah.
Desmond needs to step up.
Yeah.
Charlie needs to play better this season than he did last season.
He will.
I think he will.
Playing in
Yeah.
right field.
Yeah.
He had a hamstring issue pretty much all year last year that he couldn't get over.
Right? How do you guys think Dahl's gonna look?
I don't know. I think
One of those like he's got to step up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we're giving you a bigger role
He really has
with
to.
that.
mhm.
You know, you either make it or break it.
He's got the talent.
Oh, yeah.
Not with how many pieces the Rockies lost this year and how little they gained. I think they're banking on players like David Dahl to step up and be that next guy.
David Dahl will be one to watch. Garrett Hampson will be one to watch. Who else?
Ryan McMahon. Like
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be Hampson or McMahon at second base to start the
That's true. I
Could
kind of
be.
I like
forgot about
McMahon.
McMahon.
year. Yeah.
He had a lot of good.
See, Hampson stuck with me so much more than
situational.
McMahon. I don't know why.
Because he's fast as...
That's why. That's why. That's when I swore on the podcast last time.
Yeah.
He's fast as fudge. Didn't say fudge last time. He is like lightning fast.
But if the Rockies were smart, they would put Hampson in center fields,
Right.
McMahon at second base, and Ian Desmond can just fill in wherever anybody needs a break. He's making like $25 million a year, so
Right?
He's
can't
hanging
really
out.
be that
He's
utility
hanging
guy.
out.
Yeah, he has to be on the field.
It'd be nice to try and track down like a true first baseman
Right.
because we haven't really had that since like Todd Helton. I mean, I guess we had Jason Giambi, old man Giambi,
Yeah, yep.
but like other than that, like we haven't had like a true first baseman that can like be a reliable.
Yeah, because Ian Desmond's more of a shortstop, center fielder. Daniel Murphy's a second baseman, and he's now our first baseman. Like, I don't think the Rockies understand that you can actually pick up a guy that plays first base and play him at
Real first
base.
base.
That's allowed. You can do that.
There's no rules against
Yeah,
that.
Right.
You don't have to convert
And they're
them.
usually pretty decent batters
Right?
as well.
Yeah.
Daniel Murphy, he'll definitely be an upgrade. I don't really like him as a person, but he's an
Oh,
upgrade.
why? What do I not know about him?
He just has a lot
Is there
of
dirt?
homophobic comments.
Oh, great. Well, now I don't like him either.
Yeah.
Well, That's a great note to end
Right.
on.
That's
not
what
only-
fines are for.
It's not only one incident, there's multiple incidents, so.
Oh, well, that sucks. He should probably figure that out.
Right.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Nuggets, so much to be excited about. Avs, potentially
Be
so much to be
excited.
excited about. Rockies, definitely a lot to be excited about as we venture on through another month or so of spring training. Opening day will definitely be here before we know it. Let's hope it is not freezing and sleeting rain and disgusting, and it's a beautiful, beautiful Colorado spring day, opening day. Although if it's not, that'd be pretty par for the course for Colorado. So
Right.
we know you guys will show up at Coors Field one way or another. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you guys later. Bye.
Doodles.
Night is.
Peace.